Welcome back, Board of Directors, for this public session. So back over to you, Director Harrington.
Thank you, everyone, and welcome to the afternoon section of the Clean Water Services Board of Directors work session for Friday, July 31st, 2026. Clerk Moss, can we take the roll? I'll do it on the mic if you want.
Director Willie?
Here.
Director Treese?
Here.
Director Snyder?
Here.
Director Fye?
Present.
Director Harrington?
Here. Thank you. So we had a wonderful tour of the lab building, the current lab building here in the administrative building complex, as well as a tour of the new Clean Water Services lab still under construction in Forest Grove this morning. And now we're in our afternoon agenda, and up next is update on operating intergovernmental agreements. So over to you, team.
Yeah, and I'll just turn it over to Joe.
Thank you, Raheem. Is this on?
It is.
Okay. Thank you, Raheem. Chair and fellow board members, Joe Gall, Chief Utility Relations Officer. We're here to give you a brief update on where we are with our operating IGAs with the cities that remain. We're getting close to the finish line, which I'm excited because this has been a long journey. Yes. You see two people that maybe you're like wondering why these folks are here. Where's Jamie Hughes? So on the previous IGAs, Bob Baumgartner, our previous RAD director, and Jamie Hughes kind of led those. And we have shifted after we've completed the Washington County IGA to folks in my team in the planning group. So I'll let them introduce themselves, and they're going to present most of this material and answer questions. There's some items that I will hit on of importance. So Chris, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Chris Faulkner, Planning Manager with Clean Water Services.
Hello, I'm Megan Comer, Principal Planner, Water Services, the Regional Planning Group.
Okay, just you can dive in.
So do we have the slides for this topic? There we go.
Nice. Now we're good.
Magic.
Right. Again, my advancing rate. Okay. Okay. There we go. All right, we're off and running. Again, we're just kind of give a little bit of a background, kind of where we are, why we are updating all of these, operating IGAs. As much fun as they are, it is a lot of work. As a reminder, sort of the two big whys, we're working with all of our partner cities as well as Washington County. We have a watershed-based permit that says we need to have these updated by November 1st, 2026. And I can honestly say we see the light at the end of the tunnel. So we are feeling like we're in really good shape. Another reason too is a lot of these IGAs have been around quite a while. And so, our partnerships have, changed, evolved. And so we want to capture that. Overall, these IGAs sort of touch on issues and define issues such as sort of that regional versus local levels of service, who is doing what, when, and why. Who owns the infrastructure, who's going to operate and maintain that infrastructure. The finances, everybody wonders about the money, right? So, we lay it out there. And then also just sort of capturing some of those bigger items that we can continue to work together on. Next slide. One more back. Back. There.
Yes, I see that.
Go one more back. Yep. Somehow the pointing marker is not me.
That's strange.
I'm only. There we go. There you go. Oh, no, stay right there.
The update process.
There we go.
That was
On track. We're good. Just sort of overall process, some of the things that we have been talking about throughout this, some of our common discussion topics, billing and, fees associated with that. Joe's going to touch on that briefly here in just a moment. Really digging into that ownership, responsibilities, things around that. A lot of this has been sort of understandings and agreements, but now we're really, digging in. And then, one of the things that we've really heard too is just that continued support by CWS. We've had questions of, when we're doing, inspections, enforcement actions, can CWS be there? And we've always been willing to, and now we've got it captured. Everybody can see it. Everybody really just, buys in. It's been a really great opportunity for us as well as our partners to understand more about how, each of us work. One of the things I was telling someone recently is, we're in the wastewater stormwater business, and sometimes it's easy to sort of lose sight of some of our partners also have to do roads and replace HVACs at libraries and things like that. So just understanding the nature of how, all of us work. And again, just really defining that local, regional service. Next slide. There we go. So just as a reminder, handful of our cities, our larger cities, they receive the regional only services from Clean Water Services. The urbanized unincorporated areas of Washington County, as well as our smaller cities, receive regional and local from us. Next slide. And so just to remind, when we say regional services, those regional services are those that we provide everybody. It's operating our water resource recovery facilities, pump stations, force mains, our large, sanitary conveyance lines, the 24 inches and larger. We hold the actual permit. So we do, the compliance, reporting. We also maintain stream flows in the Tualatin River, which we're doing right now because we're dead middle of summer. And here we are. Next slide. And then this is where, the operating IGAs really help us all out, is define who's responsible for all of those local services. So the lines under 24 inches, elements of our stormwater programs, development plan review, permitting, that sort of thing, and as well as a 24-hour, response to mishaps, we would say. Next slide. And so where we are today, we have the cities of Hillsborough, Cornelius, Beaverton, and Washington County all have, updated operating IGAs. It was a really good process to go through because we did a lot of learning, and we've now translated that learning to all of our, other partner cities. And so we were able to build, off of that to really create a good foundation for moving all of this forward. So on the next slide, Joe is going to talk a little bit about some of the admin fee stuff. So next slide.
So I know you also received a discussion paper with your packet. So we had a meeting this past week, a very good meeting that Raheem led and facilitated. We had it in this room, actually, and our 7 large cities that provide billing for us, the city managers and finance directors were here. Because as you may recall, up until the new Beaverton and Hillsborough and Cornelius IGAs, there was nothing in the prior IGAs that provided any compensation to those cities for the billing services that they provide for us. And as you can guess, and maybe have heard from various cities, they would like to have some compensation for the work that they provide on our behalf. So the meeting on Monday was really to try to get everybody in the room together to talk through how do we do this on a consistent basis. So we don't have 7 different ways of working with our 7 different billing partners. And it was a very productive, positive conversation. And I think that conversation is going to continue. The cities are actually putting together a proposal that they can all kind of put their arms around, that they will work with us. And what I view this as a separate item now that's going to, continue to a solution, and it will not hold up adoption of the IGAs, which was important to meet that November 1st. So you'll see the dates and we'll go through those. I'm very confident that unless there's some unforeseen event over the next few months, that the dates that you see, and you'll be seeing a lot of these on your agendas, as you adopt them. But we're going to be able to meet that November 1st. And then the issues that come out of this separate conversation, which is important, will probably be another work session with the board to get your input as well. Did you want to mention anything else, Raheem?
Yeah, maybe just a few more points. Thanks, Joe. There are a couple of specific things we'll have to do between now and then. One of them is going to be doing some type of memorandum of understanding or something to that effect. Just giving them some confidence that we will continue the conversation about what a billing percentage, retainer looks like. So that we'll work on that and bring that to the board. But I also want to set the table now is like any increase in costs, which this would be an increase in costs to clean water services, is going to result in a rate impact. Now, we don't know what that is yet because we're not sure whether we'll land at a 2%, a 3%, 4, 5, or 6. We're not sure where that's going yet. But what we've committed to doing on our side as well is not just saying, okay, well, if I'll use an example, the cities want a 6% fee percentage, I'll call it a retainer for better purposes. That may result in a 6% rate increase because the relationship is directly, any increase relates directly to the regional rate. We'll go back and look at our rate study and see if there's things we can do on our end. Maybe there's some deferrals we do, some things we shift a little bit. So there's work there that we need to do. I don't want us thinking that we can absorb that. So I just wanted to set the table now.
And that was shared with those partners as well.
It was, and they shared that same concern because at the end of the day, I think we all landed on centering the customers who are paying
Correct.
these bills. So I was very proud of the cities too because they brought up some ideas on their end where they might be able to reduce some future costs to reduce the impact on the customer. So, like Joe mentioned, this will take a little bit of time to work through, which I think will be helpful for us, especially as we go through budgeting. Because I'd rather not do this off cycle. Let's just roll it into our budget process so it's consistent with all of our costs.
I guess the thought I have that I think should at least be considered as the teams are working through that is the city partners are already having to do billing for their local parts of these services. And that certainly costs money, but that's their responsibility.
Yeah.
I don't know what the real incremental increase in cost is for that. And to me, that's the $1 million question on this is not, does it cost? We know it probably costs, but what is truly the incremental difference?
Yeah.
If they're already sending a bill, they're already having to format it all. Yeah, there's some more numbers on there. But how much does that really drive in cost?
It's interesting you mentioned that because they all had different perspectives on that. So, and the ones who felt more of like, look, this is just a small additional thing we need to do, were probably at the lower percentage. The ones that weren't, they were at the higher percentage. So what part of this regrouping they're doing is looking at everything that they said is a cost to them associated with billing. And then deciding like what makes sense to then say, CWS, we want you to pay for that. It's, I appreciated the perspective they had on making sure their impact to the customer is as low as possible. So either way, they know this cost is going to go up the more they stack it on their end. But that's the work that we need to do.
And that consistency, because one city may include these costs and the other city may include half of those costs. So having a consistent, here's what costs us to do this on your behalf, CWS.
What might have been sort of, if we had more foresight on this, it might have made sense to define collecting the regional rates as part of the local responsibility, the local services. And therefore they then just charge whatever rates are needed to do that collecting.
So some, to your point, Commissioner, some of them are already doing that in their bills because they're passing on that cost through their local rate.
There you go.
But again, this is going to be a conversation that we're going to have with them. And to Joe's earlier point, disconnecting it from the operating IGA so that we can spend the time we need to and get it right is the path we're taking.
Correct.
And do all of these have to look exactly the same? I mean, that would obviously be better, but maybe there's different cost structures within different cities.
Could be.
Could be. I think that's something we discussed earlier this week with them, so.
It's certainly, I recognize the upside in doing
Yeah.
it, but I'm questioning what the downside is. So
And we wanted to have them together, we problem solve this together.
okay,
Because ultimately, as Raheem says, we're focused on the customer, ultimately is going to pay one way or the other, any increases in terms of,
and I
our
applaud
rates.
that. Thank you.
yes.
Sure.
I have two things to say. First, just back on the operating IGAs. On the background side, we've had changes in our workforce. They've had changes in their workforce, and those will continue. All the more reason for having the clarity. So I'm really proud of the work that has been done to create this new generation of operating IGAs. I also felt very strongly that because of the lifetime that IGAs have, that it was very important for us as a board to recognize the partnership that these IGAs embody, which is why I felt strongly, and I wanted you to hear this from me in this public meeting, why I insist that these IGAs be action items on our agenda. I didn't want it to just only be conveyed, well, this is what, blah, 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 but rather that you also heard it from me. So I really appreciate the push to get them all done and get that cycle complete. Now to the billing side, the way you're approaching it is very collaborative, and I appreciate that. The one thing I hope you're looking out for is every jurisdiction to different, well, every jurisdiction has had to move to our shared internal systems. We call it, or I can't even remember the acronym anymore that we call it internally at Washington County. It's like the burden rate for HR, finance, ITS. The CAP, yes, that's right.
Cost allocation.
Cost allocation, yep. So I want to make sure that as various cities come in with their own data of what their billing stuff costs, that there aren't end user customers without there being the cities and then the local services that you provide. So it's like, wait a minute, the regional system exists to support you. So I'm leery at this date about some potential for shifting their burden rate for customer management onto CWS because we're just opening up billing. So it's going to take a while, and I don't expect that it'll get solved with the new board at all. Or I mean, with us as opposed to with the new board, which is going to be a big lift because we've had the benefit of living through a cost study, and we know what we know about regional versus local. So
Yep.
keep going.
I do think that I'm confident we can come to a proposal with this board.
Really?
I think so. Because it might not be implemented by this board, but at least for discussion with this board.
Okay.
Because they understand, like, they're not getting, with the exception of one jurisdiction, they're not getting anything right. So it's in their best interest as well to try to move this conversation along. And we all know that. So, and it is one of those pieces that we need to iron out. We've talked about this for many years. And I think we have a group now that is committed to not doing the me versus you approach. It's more like, how do we center the customer? And I firmly felt that way in the meeting we had. So
So towards that end, then what will be helpful to me, even if it's just for the MOU milestone, to understand what is the nature of billing, why we need this agreement as a regional provider, but also what does that mean for us as both the regional and the local provider for the UUAs in the contract city?
Okay.
Because you can't just say, well, it is the way it is today.
Sure.
Because I think there's more learning,
Yes.
you know, and also with TVWD in there too. So I stand to learn yet again.
Commissioner William, I may have interrupted you. You had a question.
Well, I just follow up. 6% to me sounds a little bit large, but I don't know what that number equates to. I know that we've also previously talked about doing our own billing. Seems to me that was pretty expensive. But this is, with the exception of one jurisdiction, this is found money for these cities. So I'm hoping they don't get a little exuberant about how much money they can get from this.
Right.
And as Jason pointed out, they're already doing the billings.
Yes.
And so this isn't the new addition to them, what we're asking them to do. So that's, I would be hopeful that that at least there is still in consideration that we spin off and be independent.
That work that Kathy and her team are leading will be also coming as well.
Yeah.
If you think about timing, like let's say we decide, just as an example, if we decide to take on our own billing, that's a multi-year process. So we'll still need to work this out in the meantime, but that process will still be.
Yeah, that would be significant. I realize that. But we gotta look long-term.
Yes.
If the cities are going to hold us hostage for a 6% vote.
So all great input. Thank you very much. We wanted to go over the tentative schedule and see if you have any questions. So I think Megan's going to do this part.
So as mentioned, there's 8 IGAs remaining in process. And so of the remaining regional service cities, we have tentative dates scheduled that we're in the process of confirming. We had a work session with Tigard earlier this week. It went really well. And they're on schedule for the approval on August 11th. And we've also been talking with Tualatin, and they are in agreement of doing a kind of combined work session briefing and approval, probably on later in August. So those are the dates we're confirming for the regional service cities. Next slide. For the regional and local service cities, these are the dates we have as well, confirming those to meet that November 1 deadline and, you know, address any concerns or considerations that the cities have in this process.
So Gaston's outside of the MS4, where does their stuff go?
So the way it works for Gaston, we do not provide the stormwater service for them. We provide the wastewater service. But when you look at the permit, the November 1 deadline is a part of that stormwater requirement. And because they're outside the MS4, DEQ doesn't necessarily see them as an MS4 community. So we do have an operating IGA, but it's for sanitary service only. So
how do they solve their surface water management, especially given the neighborhood? Does anybody?
We can follow up on that.
Follow up.
But I believe they're responsible for it on their own, but we
Yeah.
can follow up on it.
Yeah.
Isn't it like a 700 home? Isn't it?
You may be thinking of Banks. You're thinking of Gaston?
I may have the magnitude off, but it was
Yeah.
still like hundreds, somewhere between 3 and 7.
We can follow up, Chair.
It's a now an older
Yeah.
expansion, I think, but.
We do have an existing IGA that needs to get updated, and it's actually in this afternoon's discussion of the next 5 years. I think next year we're planning on doing Gaston and spending the time to update, which it's just not subject to the DEQ requirement.
Remember that about half of that housing addition is in Yamhill County.
Yes.
So it's an interesting scenario they have blending between Washington County and Yamhill County in that neighborhood. Is literally half of them will be in Yamhill.
just, they're such a small city to begin with.
Yes.
I mean, is it just that they don't have the surface water environment? But, yeah, I was a little too curious on that one.
So these are the dates that we have for the remaining IGAs, and I think that's our last. Just to say thank you. Talk about any questions.
Yeah. Well, I just want to thank the team and some of the team members who were also here working on the previous agreements. This is a lot of work. I can attest to it from my time in Hillsborough. It was a lot of work there, and can only imagine how much work it is with all the cities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to the next agenda item, and for this next section, I'm going to move between a few things. But first, I thought it would be helpful to go over the org chart with you first. You have a copy of it in your packet, so I know it's going to be difficult to read that on the left side of the screen. But I'll just start from left to right. So the way we're organized right now is we have a couple of the chief positions reporting to me with certain portfolios, certain departments reporting to me with their portfolios, and I'll go through each one of them real quickly. And then some divisions or programs reporting to me directly. Right now, I plan to keep the structure in place just for a little bit, see how things are going, and then evaluate it over time. One of the things we've heard from our staff quite a bit is they're tired of reorgs. So I don't plan on doing a major reorg right now, but if things organically happen or shifts happen organically, cross that bridge then. But right now, I think our goal has been to just stabilize things the way they are. So from going left to right, our chief counsel and general counsel and chief compliance officer, Caroline, that she couldn't be here today, but we're sitting in on her behalf. The other reason, I'll back up a second. The other reason why I wanted our leadership team here is you know them well, some better than others. And I wanted to also put some faces to the names on this paper. So our general counsel and chief compliance officer, Caroline, oversees that team. It has our legal services, and what we're saying is a regulatory affairs, that's the RAD team. But we've also kind of called out compliance and other functions in here. And Bruce is part of that team. Courtney's part of that team. Is anybody else in the room part of that team? I think that's it for this group. And then the chief of staff, Elizabeth. I think you know Elizabeth really well. She has digital solutions and then these other functional areas. And John Shaw, who's in the back, I think you also know, oversees our digital solutions team. And then our chief financial officer, Kathy, you know Kathy, so she's got a lot on her plate and her team. And the next group over is our chief utility relations officer, Joe. You know Joe. He has regional utility services and our NSCS, natural systems and enhancement and stewardship. So Joe and Lisa's in the back too. And then our utility and water resource recovery operations and services. That's a big team. And Ryan was recently promoted right before I started. I had the chance to work with Ryan while I was in Hillsborough, so I was really happy to see he got promoted into that position. And he's in the.
How did that again?
So me and my team in Hillsborough worked with Brian and his team in CWS.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I confused myself.
They all had nice things to say about him, so I was just happy to see him. Yeah. And Ryan's in the process of hiring 2 positions to oversee field ops and the plants right now. Some of his the 2 division managers is going to assist him, his team. That's in the process right now. And our water engineering and technology team, Perry has been interim for a while. Is Perry? You all met Perry, you know Perry. So you share some more information on some permanency in that role in the next week or 2. And then our R&I team, Peter Bishauer's team, and then human resources, Holly.
Just about.
Just step out, okay. And then the office of the general manager, some of the administrative support. But this is the team, so just want to make sure they were here.
What's research and innovation?
Peter.
Hi, hi, Peter.
And was the water engineering and technology job that Perry's been filling interim, that was Rick's permanent role before or not?
Yeah.
No.
Rick was, yeah. So
Oh.
Rick was in a chief engineering and technology officer. So it was
It
another.
was just
chief
a
position.
different role or different.
Yeah. So this position, I believe, always existed. Please correct me if I'm wrong, anybody on the team, and it reported to the chief position. So that's a position that I'm not filling right now.
Okay.
I'm going to hold on to that, see how things shake out a little bit, and then we can figure out what we need to do.
But
Thank you.
what I was referring to is he had that title of chief for about a month or a very short period
Yeah.
of time before he took over as interim
Yeah.
CEO. So really, and there were some retirements as well, so then been through a lot. Thank you.
So to that point, Chair Harrington, like trying to get some stability right now, then we can continue to move forward.
So Raheem, you have 8 directs.
Yeah, quite a few right now. A little more than 8, I think it's like 9, but that's part of something I need to think about as well. It's a lot.
Well, I can speak for myself, but I'm tired of reorgs as well, because I try and track those through the budget process.
Yeah.
It's very hard, so.
Yeah. Kathy also told me don't reorg because it changes the budget and I don't want to do that.
And reporting.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, it gives our staff anxiety too, I would think. Like we start changing and moving the pieces again, and how do I fit? I don't want to go down that.
Yeah.
Now things happen organically over time and cross that bridge then. So I'll move over to the document that we shared, which was a list of initiatives over the next 5 years. I just want to reiterate, this is a working document. It's going to change. It's the intent of this is to just give us a picture of what lies ahead for us. Elizabeth was gracious enough to coordinate with the whole team to pull this together. Formatting may change over time. This is our first stab at putting this together. So give us some grace on some of the formatting and things.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How would you like to go through this? Because I have a compliment right from the get-go. I found having this document so very helpful. But I have some clarifying questions
Sure.
as we go through different pages. So, but you tell me how
Yeah.
you want to do it. If you want me to hold those questions till the end or as you go through pages. It's not like detailed questions.
Yeah.
What does this mean and how does that work? No.
We'll take the compliments first. I'm kidding. Why don't I go through it first and then we can circle back through it?
Sure.
Because I wasn't going to go through all of these, but maybe I might answer your question.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tags out of a 15-page document.
Yeah.
Well, just to follow up with what you said, this was impressive. For as short term as you've been with the organization and the 5-year snapshot.
Yeah.
So I'll give you your compliments up. This is, and I know this is team play,
It is team play.
but this was very helpful.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And it is team effort. So let me go through this real quick. I'll go through a few of these.
To compare on the Washington County side, we're about a year and a half into having quarterly management reports and only about 3 quarters, maybe 4 into having an addendum to that, which is our plan of record. So it's just a multi-page summary of the different programs in for a year. Are they done? Are they work in progress? What's the next milestone?
Dashboard.
Yeah, so it's just a helpful reminder for us, which this is wonderful.
And I plan on like updating this and sharing updates with you, but this is an internal tool as well for our teams, like to prioritize where we put our resources and spend our energy to. It has to be usable. I don't want it to just be something we just have to put together, because then it's pointless.
And
Go ahead.
if I may, from the staff perspective, getting visibility into what all is in flight. This is something that we've heard from staff, what are the priorities? What's moving? Why does my thing have to wait? who's in charge of this, and just getting it in a transparent, accessible document. And as Raheem alluded to, we will continue to refine it and make it more digestible. 15 pages is a lot, right? It's a lot to go through.
It's reflective of, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, but we want people to be able to see themselves in this.
So I'll go through these, and part of the other reason why the team is here as well is if you have some specific questions that might get us a little weedy, hoping we don't do that, but if we do, we're also here to be able to answer some of the questions. So just wanted to acknowledge that. So I'll just scroll through the first one. I'm planning on having I labeled it here as a retreat. It's going to be a workshop. We're finalizing what that scope looks like, but we're bringing somebody in to help us just refine these priorities, set some clear roles and responsibilities for our team, because there's overlap and there's some work we need to do about just making sure who's got the ball on which program and at what level. And then, we're a new team. Maybe selfishly, this is more for me, where I'm trying to make sure we understand how we work together. And it's those working norms and setting those values that we're going to continue to hold as we work through some of our complex challenges. So I'm planning on doing this sometime in the fall. These are going to be coupled with 360 reviews that we're all doing, including myself. So the common themes we will find out in our 360 reviews will be a topic for discussion at this workshop. So
Who's facilitating the 360 reviews?
So we've already had 360 reviews done for some of the chief positions prior to me joining, and that was done through Blue Tiger Leadership, Michelle Rios and her company. We're just planning to use the same firm to do that.
Okay.
Because
I was looking for continuity. I just wanted to know if you've identified that and how it's going to work forward. Thank you.
and same thing for the workshop, because they would have all that information available. I don't want to bring somebody else who has to learn all that. It will cost us more too.
Exactly. Thank you.
I'll skip the DNC standards because that's a little more straightforward. The operating IGAs, you got an update on that. Utility billing feasibility study. I will hold on that because Kathy's going to be bringing you an update on that on August 11th, right? So we will get into that a little more. Our recycled water master plan, that's a big one that's coming. It's on a work session, I think in October, right?
October 23rd.
Yeah, so you'll be seeing more of that. A thermal compliance roadmap, that's a big one. We're working through that right now. That's also slated for a work session. You'll see more details on that. We'll keep going. I'll go to the roadmap redux, and Elizabeth, do you want to just mention a quick higher level overview of what we're doing there?
So you all are familiar with our roadmaps. You received them with the budget. We have 42 roadmaps, which is a lot. And it can be challenging to produce. And it's a lot of information to weed through to actually distill into who's on first, what are we accountable for in years 1, 2, 3. So we've undergone a process of simplifying, and we're hoping to cut the total number in about half, have a cleaner, simpler layout, and to really begin to speak to more of the interdependencies also between programs, because that's been a request from staff as well. So we've been working through a process. We should and we will launch it for this fall when we update our roadmaps. So it will be for FY28 that you will see this new format.
And part of some of the things, well, many of the things you see on this list will show up in the roadmaps as well. We're trying not to be like duplicative, but make sure that the work is linked. And then, if we see some work that's either on this list and not on the other list, we need to ask ourselves like, okay, what is a priority, right? And make sure we account for the totality of the work.
You skip capital improvement project.
Yes, I didn't go through all of them, so I might skip a few of these just in the interest of time. But if you have a question on that, once I go through these, we can circle back to those. I'll skip the implementation plan for climate action plan. Actually, if you don't mind going back up, to the Gallup implementation. So as you're aware, every year we use some version of the Gallup Q12 questions to identify areas we need to work on. I will say it's been extremely helpful for me to see the results, because this time we asked, what do you want the new general manager to know? And I brought the results with me, and I just wanted to share those, just that section with you. So the first one was workforce and working conditions. Employees are stretched thin and feeling undervalued, spanning staffing shortages, pay and benefits gaps, change fatigue, and a pervasive nature that field and plant workers are invisible to leadership. So that's some really good feedback for me and our whole team as we start. I would say my leadership team, because this is very employee specific, but I know I want you to be aware of the work we're doing. So one of these is change fatigue. And I just talked about the not reorging. The pay and benefits gap, you'll see that in an item here shortly, but Holly and I finalized a plan to reinitiate the class and comp study for the non-rep staff. So you'll see that moving quickly. Our goal, it's a very ambitious goal, so I'm just going to say that right up front, is to be in, and I wish she was here for this, but we'll give her an opportunity to share anything else later on. Our goal on that one is to be implemented by July 1 of next year. That is a very, very quick schedule, because I'm trying to line it up with budget adoption. So that way, when we adopt
And
this
this
budget,
is all classes,
it's just for the non-rep.
thank you.
Yeah, just for the non-rep. So that's one area we'll be working on. That speaks to the pay and benefits. And then, field and plant workers invisible to leadership. Just need to do a better job of being more present. Culture, trust, and accountability. Now, this talks to some of the stuff we went through over the last few years. I don't want to belabor the time on this, but moving forward. The third part was leadership style and communications. Part of this was just wanted a leader who shows up, communicates clearly, and delegates meaningfully. So part of some of the things we're doing, for example, this work plan is intended to get to that point. And then community and public service, this was speaking more to like silos and departments operating independently, not necessarily just focusing as a team, but I'm confident the work we're doing will get us to being a more one team approach. And then there was some feedback on core mission and organizational focus. Some employees feeling that the district has drifted from its core purpose. And there was a simple ask, just refocus on what CWS exists to do. It's interesting as I've been dissecting this a little bit. I don't necessarily think it's just people think we're doing other things we shouldn't be doing. I think it's that they don't understand why we're doing certain things. And in absence of an understanding, then it's probably not a thing that they think we should do. So part of it, I think, is just educating our staff a little, but just areas for us to dive into. I won't go into much more on this because we can keep dissecting this a lot. But, why don't we keep moving? So the HR policy review and update. So this is part of, you all are aware about the audit we're going through with HR and the policies and the procedures and the way we do things. We're taking a three-step approach on this. We're first review all the stuff that we do and our policies associated with them, identify the ones that need to be updated, fixed, or revised. Step two, get some assistance on revising them, because if there are a lot of policies we haven't updated in a long time. We need somebody to write them. And Bruce and his team will help with that, are also limited on bandwidth. So the consultant who is doing this audit will be asking them to help us with that. And then the third part is we can write all these policies and all these new procedures, but if we don't train our staff on it, then, we kind of meaningless. So they're going to also help us with some training. So just want to give you a quick update on that one. The class and comp for non-represented employees, I just mentioned that. We have a game plan. So I actually have the contract with Mercer in my inbox that I need to sign today. So I'll keep moving forward. Okay. Yeah, let's keep moving. Maybe let's go to the page titled Proposed Projects, Project Priorities for the Next 12 Months. You keep going, it's on page 6. Yeah, keep going.
The following.
The way that,
Since we have published it in December 2026 to June 2027.
it's basically the next 6-month
So it's
period that
probably-
completes a year. Yeah. So you're sort of cutting out, yeah.
So it's really 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so on page 6 at the bottom, it's listed like that's the big one, the permit renewal. So everything we do has to tie back to the permit. So we're in the thick of that right now. We're having good discussions with DEQ. We'll bring an update, a more detailed update on how things are going there to you in not the not too distant future. But that's a lot of work that we're spending energy on.
Can I ask a question? Sure. On that, so, and because we just toured, our future new facility on that is, do we have to go through DEQ? They have to kind of go through that and prove all the things that we're doing there?
Yeah, I think you mentioned something to the effect of like, should the lab be certified by DEQ as like a certified lab? I'm not sure. But Harry or Peter, do you?
I'm not aware of any certification that we follow the
Okay.
standard method, but I've looked at Karen's team,
Yeah.
if there's any checkoffs that. I'm not aware of any.
Yeah.
I'll
Courtney, I
quickly
see you
add-
shaking your head, no?
There's laboratory certification. Not any required.
I was looking at it more from the standpoint of kind of shining our own apple out there, saying, look at what we've done. What facilities we have invested in, processes that we have. Improved on, I guess, I want to say that, but yeah, so making sure that we
Right, you,
invite DEQ in to say, here we are, not asking for their stamp approval, but certainly, like I said. Nancy. Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking of DEQ just because of the stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, we can look into that.
Yeah.
And then, we did our rates, we need to do our SDCs, so that's work we're going to be doing as well, and industrial rates and charges as well. There's things we need to look into. Keep moving along. If you could keep going down to page 7. Yeah, right there is perfect. The new website and public records. So that's work that Elizabeth and Joe are leading to just refresh our stuff and get it on a platform that is a little more stable, I guess.
And if I may, the reason why new website and public records are together is because we're using the same contractor. So Civic Plus, which does a lot of the websites for public sector entities, is who we are using to build our new website. We'll move off of WordPress onto a tool that is a lot more adaptable. It will help us with our ADA Title II requirements. Right now, the deadline for that has been pushed out a year, but we're still shooting for that April 27 window. And as part of that, we will have a public records tool that will be easy to use, and we have a great partnership with the legal and compliance team on implementing that.
just for, what's the size of that contract in terms of dollars? Just out of curiosity, you know?
John.
Oh, I'm just trying to kind of figure out the building blocks here.
Yeah. Yeah. I will confess it was more affordable than I anticipated.
Thank you.
Let's keep scrolling to the next page. Scrolling further down, the move to central and the lab. As you saw today when we went to the lab, moving into the new lab is also going to be an effort beyond just building the new lab. So there's a lot of work that's going on there. And then we're doing the renovations at Central and hoping to get those done quickly so that we can get all of our teams in one place. And then, we figure out what to do with this building. Right? We've had some discussions with the city of Hillsborough. But then the quicker we can get out of here, the quicker we can finalize that. Keep going. Yeah, the update of ordinances, which is right after the phone system replacement. This is shown to be like starting next year, but I just want to give you a heads up that there may be one or two that we bring earlier, just because of some changes that may impact those ordinances. Specifically, are around HR, some stuff that we may need to update on our HR policies that would require, I think it's ordinance 37 to also be adopted. Sorry, revised. But just a heads up that that's something we'll be working on. And then CWS policy review and update. We have a bunch that we have in the pipeline for revision, and that coupled with the HR audit that I mentioned earlier, there'll be a whole bunch of these that are coming through. Many of these will be internal, but there may be a few that we have to bring to the board. And then if you could go to page 11. Okay. So the strategic plan. Our focus for the next year is to get some stability, get some foundational work done. And then I do want us to go through a strategic planning effort. We have so many things that drive our work. We have all these plans you saw in the pages before this. We have our permit requirements. We do a lot. So I'm hoping our strategic plan process is not identifying new things we need to do, but at least first helping us get organized around the things we're doing, and then adjusting it to be more intentional on how we sequence things. So the scope of that we'll define later, but I wanted to give you a heads up as we go into that process.
And we're in the 3-year category now, right?
Yeah. And this will also revisit, what our mission, vision, and values are. It'll get board input, it'll get community input, it'll get, definitely we want input from our partners, but we'll define that scope. And then I'll identify the Healthy Streams update one further down. You will be hearing about that soon, August 11th as well. We will be bringing an action item on that for you just to start it. So just a heads up.
I'm sorry, what? What's coming August 11th?
And this was the plan that the 1.0 version was from 2005. So you'll get a presentation on where we've been since then and the plan to update it on August 11th.
It's 21.
And I know it's
This on this page versus in the earlier one, and then this
What we attempted to organize around was projected completion. So. Mhm.
one project list and a sense for what is underway for a long period of time and multi-quarters and multi-years, and that completion date, and which ones touch the board. Like, just pull an example out, something just in a board column, informational as opposed to have a milestone to adopt something or acknowledge something. But things like the Gallup poll, getting exposed to that helps us have an appreciation of what workforce management needs to take care of. But we don't necessarily get the same level of test that I would expect the full leadership, managerial and employee.
It's good feedback for us as we reformat this. And it'll look more like a schedule as opposed to just, an instance. That's the way it's described, right?
So I have no problem with how you organize stuff. That model makes sense to me now. But it's that snapshot As the board only has two assets. And they're both on.
Sure.
So how do we balance?
That's good feedback for us. And then the other thing I wanted to point out is the Springer construction, the ops building out on Springer. That's one of the, and I'm sure you've got some information on that. We'll bring more later, but that's the next project. After we're wrapped up with the lab and the forest squirrel primary clarifiers and move to central, like that's the next one. Then keep going to page 13. So updated class and comp for non-rep and represented staff. One of the things we want to get into is a cycle of keeping these updated. And part of the plan that Holly has put together with her team also contemplates that. It's not just like, okay, we do it and then we forget about it. It's let's start thinking about the next iteration and the next iteration. So then we're thinking of this more as a program as opposed to just you just have to do it or catch up on it. So really grateful for the plan they put together and confident we'll meet it. Yeah, why don't I stop there? Because Chair Harrington, I know you mentioned you had some questions and I just want to keep us on schedule too. So why don't I just pause there for a minute and see what questions you have.
Well, first, I don't know if my colleagues read this. You have
Probably not in as much detail as you did, but yeah, absolutely. That's why.
So I'm happy to dive in.
Yeah, sure.
And I'll try to be organized about this. So I'm flipping between the older. I have lots of underlines for, I have both highlights of really great info, I learned something, or underlines for myself. So on page 2 of 15, I had just become the utility building feasibility study. I was looking for possible next steps like in 2027, because like I said, this is a really helpful document. The new board, this needs to be one of the documents that they're onboarding. And so having some of these notes about so that they can see themselves, I think will pay off. Recycled water master plan, presentation to the board and feedback for next steps. But I was like, well, is that us or is that them? So I couldn't get a sense of the timing on that one, though you articulated your work session. So once again, I want this to be valuable to employees. But I imagine that there may be at most for a quarterly update, and this is a vehicle to help us to be on the journey. And the thermal compliance roadmap. So the text was thing I was getting from at end of 26 or early 2027. So you've got us at Tuesdays, December. Under the first Tuesday, but then there's like December 7th, or but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's and when I think about the new board, and I don't need to scare anybody else, but I really don't. But I want to be honest, the load is so great for the board for both agencies, just for one agency and the other, that the cumulative effect is mind blowing. So that's why I'm just as happy if run us ragged. Even if we need another special meeting in December to just help. You may not be able to get word as soon as you want, given what they're gonna have to learn, appreciate all the work that you go put together for post budget. And that being the first Friday of May, as well as the capital improvement plan, plus them to have the positive shared experiences of visiting Central, visiting the new lab, and understanding various treatment. Because for them, we a basin master plan, West Basin master. Got an experienced board that has known what it's like to be an elected official, and you're gonna have some players, and it's just gonna be a lot. So that's why we've been trying to normalize so much for you. So my colleagues may not like me, but my following agendas put written to me, but I'm willing to take that hit. Page 4 of 15 on the biennial stakeholder insight survey. Maintain cadence and benchmark data 2026 is preferred finding. And have both new city councils and a new board in 2027. So it's gonna, I know how valuable that tool is for us, but they do not see how valuable it is for them to take it. So I've already talked with Joe informally over lunch about CWS Essentials. I'm such a big fan of that program.
Catherine, may I add that maybe that's part of the insight survey is that one of the, as you take the insight survey, you should be signed up for essentials as well, or, you know, I'm just.
taking it.
Yeah, that's a piece of the, I think it gives the data more
That's good feedback.
value.
On page 5 of 15, given that this was the end of that list for the first 6 months, I felt like there was a missing item. Once again, it goes to how I was viewing the format is different than you present. And that is, from
Page 5.
oh, yes, okay. Got it. It was on the topic that was the Healthy Streams Plan update, and we talked about that.
Yep.
Should that be on the 6th? Got that. Compare to that one. But here's the other thing, we can talk about this offline. More in-house. And afford to have. We've talked about this before the budget. We can't maintain a contract. Either page. And so getting hiring. The recruiting process going. We can't put it off.
Yep.
Page 6. Oh, yeah, the permit renewal application, how do we make sure that the new board understands their role, especially given the challenge of bringing 7? So I remember when the 3 of us started in 2019, we were given a heads up. The permit. Application going and the permit renewal. And so the team did a great job of helping us understand permit. So that was really helpful. So just a comment there.
I think part of our onboarding, Chair, and to your point, like we can strengthen that in our onboarding discussions.
Great.
And we have a pretty solid schedule on how we're going to achieve this. So we would I think we have the tools to do that.
SDC methodology, this is the next step after updating the customer service study and the relevant study. So, I think the one to note, this is where the description, I feel like you inside baseball know the context of the history, but the new board won't. Because I know we've been through it as your stable board, all this, been through like a 1.0 version in the 2020s. And so I'm hoping this, maybe it is updated in section, but I can't do it in the versions. I think you need to help the new board understand what is the role of the new board with regard to, right? And it talked about the relationship that plays and there being the SDPs. And if the board just needs to be aware, just give them a hint of that as opposed to they're going to have to adopt. So once again, just a comment.
Depending on who's elected, they
They
may not
know what
know what an SDC really is or not understand the foundations of it. Some of them will, but some of them may not.
Some of us didn't when we first were elected
Yeah.
either.
Even SDCs are different agency that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
too.
true.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
But it's even harder when you don't even know what one is.
Mhm.
I think you're speaking a lot to the onboarding process too, right? And making sure we get the foundation stuff right.
on the BPS CWS panel, there are times where these really touch chair, District 1 and District 2 board members. All board members need to be aware of it. But boy, when things go awry, you hear about it. When we have heard about it, it's a lot better than it used to be. Holy smokes, the number of overflows totally different. Let's see. Reimbursement district methodology policy update. So for both the new board and new employees, they may not even know what this program is all about. They do. And so that speaks to a little bit of the definition. Okay, that's all. So. Yeah. Already. Then my last comment is, I like the idea that this is titled a working draft. But one thing, as a consumer of this document, they're in the footer or the header, and I like how you have the title and the page number. That's very useful. But to help us understand one version from the next, even though you have it on page 1, they're helpful to have it like in a header, just date or what quarter it is. But also reinforce your work in drafts.
Yeah.
Because while we'll be reviewing them in a high level like this, in a public meeting, there's the sense of, I'm not expecting community members to read this and understand this stuff at all.
Sure.
I've read it from my lens of, okay, but what do things look like with CWS at this point in time that he's moving forward? And I also tried to think about what board members might have to understand the value of teaching.
Yeah.
That's all. So that was my full set of comments. In addition to, once again, really useful documents.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is really great feedback for us, and I think we'll incorporate this in the next version. I do plan on sharing this with our employees too. So that way we have full transparency with the board, with our employees as well. But the format might shift a little bit to address some of the good feedback you shared, but
I have a question about something that I haven't seen represented here, and we
Yeah.
didn't really discuss it in the org chart either, and that's government relations.
Mhm.
And where we are, I believe there's been an announcement about an open position. And I'm a little worried about the upcoming long session here in the state, and then also what our relationship is at the federal level. So that's a question that I don't see in this.
And one of the, I appreciate that question, especially as a sort of a history as a government relations
Yes, I do.
professional.
Mhm.
Part of what we didn't capture in this document is the ongoing day-to-day work. There's sort of specific sprints and initiatives that are reflected in this document. I can share, we are already working on having updated drafts of our state and federal legislative agendas. So before our current GR manager leaves, we will have something in a really solid
So
state.
Tracy's still here.
Tracy's still here.
I just
Yep,
wasn't,
yep.
it just felt like, okay, I think that there's a hole here and I'm not sure how this is, what the process
Yeah,
is.
she's been very generous with her time. She'll be with us through the beginning of September.
Okay.
So we're opening recruitment now. We hope not to have a big gap in that process, but of course, anytime anyone starts a new job, right, you need some grace to help get them up to speed, except for him. And
No grace for you. None.
yeah, no, you're true. So it's something that certainly very mindful of and trying to be planful in getting as much done in advance as we can. But, I will be in Salem for September legislative days
Okay.
because
Thank
we'll need that coverage. So thinking about those pieces.
And I assume that we're going to see similar joint presentations from CWS and the county.
This is a great question. We've been in discussion with Aaron Doyle around the timing for the county and the timing for us. And actually, I'll get into that a little bit when we go through the rolling agendas and what our proposed plan is for, our legislative process.
So it's changed since we established those, is we're now operating as two separate agencies, with separate board. So.
I understand. Yeah, I understand. I'm just asking.
No, it's
asking those questions. And I do appreciate the fact that these are, as you say here, proposed projects. I understand the future looking, but with the legislative picture being so volatile right now, I think that's what concerns me. But thank you for your answer.
Absolutely.
You brought up a good point though, because some of the like replacement of positions and things like that might not be on this list. What's also not on this list is our capital improvement program, which we spend a lot of resources on implementing our capital improvement program. I just show the totality of the work we have to do. There's a lot of work, and I don't want to duplicate it too, right? So we'll be mindful of what we show on here as well. But yeah. Just because we don't put budget adoption on here doesn't mean we don't have to do it.
I don't see anybody else's comment. I realized I had tagged the page based on what I heard. Page 4 of 15, when you were talking about the HR policy and update. I've tried to be a champion for that workforce management, ongoing career development, retention, not just hiring. And I appreciated that we got hard copy of the subset of the policies that deal with that have the board in their scope. Sorry, I didn't have my mic on. I would like to see some further process improvement in the agency to at least get up to a similar standard that we have the board with Washington County. And that is that the policies and procedures are posted on the public website. We also get board for Washington County gets an annual update on the admin manual. And we go through a process of approving various policies. And I just think it's something, it bothers me that we currently don't have electronic access. And it's been a real sticking point and a lot of work just to get where we are today. And I see room for improvement still.
Sure.
So when you were talking about that HR audit, I tagged H. So thank you for listening.
So I got a couple questions if you're done. Sure.
Oh, I am completely done. Yes, thanks.
Okay, so a couple of items that you have on here, I'd like to hear a little bit expansion on, the water reuse program. And I guess overall, I'm thinking this is a pretty hefty list already, so I certainly don't want to add anything, but I'm gonna ask one thing. Sure. But the reuse water program, I think is really a quiet secret that we have the ability to do, but now maybe don't have capacity to really implement that. But I know that doesn't the Reserve Golf Course use that program? And I'd really like to see that expanded a little bit more. Golf courses, it's a lot of water. And if that would work.
So we are going to be bringing to you at the October work session our recycled water master plan. It's the reuse plan. Okay, so that hopefully will also show opportunities beyond just the golf courses. And I see Peter nodding, but that's the intent.
Yeah, okay. And then RNG, I know we've been talking about RNG for a few years now, and I'm hoping that we're moving ahead to that. I'd much rather see RNG than us clearing it off. And so, yeah, and you've got it in two different places. You've got it in the 12 months and the 3 years, so I didn't know which one was which. Is it gonna take us 3 years to implement this, to get this done, or?
So I can use an assist on this, but we're moving forward with the RNG project at Rock Creek. At the last board meeting, I believe, was when you approved the contract to purchase the equipment. Correct me if I'm wrong, Perry.
That's correct.
That was at the last meeting. So that's the first step. And the second step is we're getting a contractor, right? Why don't you build
We're
off?
close to signing the contract with USAW. It's the winner on that one. So we have a check step with the board at 60%. When we get into the design to see where our economics are at, look into our future yet again, see where the pricing market is. So we do have that upcoming, to have that check step with you at 60% design. We're working together with USAW and do all the parts and pieces, and we'll have a really good cost for the parts or so.
Okay.
Related to that, I think it will help us if we have just a snapshot of here's where we've been. I remember you came to a board meeting and presented. And then you got us to the next stage and then we approved the equipment, but just the snapshot view of how we've gone through this and this step, but where do we get to implementation?
We have a good schedule, we can update. everybody on.
Bruce, you had something too?
I was gonna say, we're starting negotiations on what's natural on the interconnection part of this. We have to interconnect their pipeline. Gas somewhere.
Okay,
That's all underway.
that's great. That's great, because not only does it an environmental positive, but also a revenue generator. And so, yeah, pretty important. And then lastly, I know that we have been, and this is because data centers are in the limelight right now, we are looking at what their water process impacts our system. And so if we could at some point in time have an update on where we are with that.
So you're speaking specifically to any testing
Right.
that we're doing?
Or permitting that we're going to require, additional
Yeah.
permitting that we're going to require.
Yeah, I can follow up with you all on that. Sure, you also the fact sheet and
Yes.
the information, but I'll follow up with any additional permitting or requirements that we're
That's good
putting.
information.
Yeah, happy to do that.
And I just want to highlight, there, the question we had back at budget time was essentially, do data centers have industrial permits like other companies? And where we have clarification on that is from the website, it takes us to the ORS and our responsibility for any non-domestic wastewater. While some of these data centers may have closed loop systems for their HVAC cooling, people are working there, they have bathrooms. Are they also putting in reclaimed systems for that? Or so
Regular sewer.
do they just hook up then as regular sewer? Is it still considered domestic since it's bathroom thing? So it just,
Yeah, some clarity there.
yeah,
Okay.
I think that would help.
Yeah. we can do-
Commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can follow.
Okay, that's all I got. Thank you.
Anybody else? Anyone else? Once again, thank you very much. Good job.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the feedback.
Are you breathing?
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I mean, we have an amazing team here, so this is a team effort. Chair Harrington, I was wondering if you wanted to take a 5-minute break or you want to keep going?
Oh, we've learned we need more than 5 minutes.
Okay.
Or do you want to take
Yeah.
our normal 15 or smaller? 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Great. So 2:32 on that clock.
Perfect.
Commissioner Willie is taking his plus time, so we'll just get going. We're a little bit over in terms of time by about 15 minutes. And we will continue to take the time that's needed for the remaining topics. So as such, you'll need to adjust your adjourn time to 3:30 or so. So thank you for that prior session. And now we're here for board planning and discussion. And Elizabeth, I know we have information in our workbooks, but I think you also sent us some rolling agendas. Do you have those in hard copy for us?
Sure do. They should have been inserted into your binders.
Great, thank you.
This was the elves came and helped us out. And if I may propose, I'd actually love to start with the board meeting schedule and allocation of time, then go to our rolling agendas, and then close out with the CWS work session planning day and onboarding discussion. Fantastic. So there are 2 materials on the board meeting and work session assumptions for allocation of time. You have a 1-pager, and then you have this colorful chart. I have to give a huge shout out to Jody Newcomer and Sue Page for all of their help. So as the board is aware, this year we started having our own standalone meetings. And one of the requests was to do a deep dive on what does our allocation of time look like, right? We according to our new rules of procedure, meet typically on the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of the month. There are occasional off-cadence meetings. So this is a full accounting of all those meetings through the end of June. When we went under schedule, when we went over schedule. And then from that, sitting down.
Here too, we spitballed it before, so I think we did pretty darn well.
Thank you, Chair. I agree. And I would just note that since April, we have been on time consistently. And one of the things, there are notes at the bottom of each page, and it sort of gives an explanation of what we learned and how we iterated and how we got better. And we will continue to do that, right? That's part of developing new systems, building those muscles. So I didn't know if folks had specific questions when they were looking at these materials, but it was supposed to be a helpful guide as to where we've been on this journey.
Does any of this information lead us to a different timing structure?
I think there is a broader conversation with the county because we want to be good neighbors, good partners, good
yeah.
siblings, however we want to talk about that. And how much time the county needs, and how much time Clean Water Services needs. And so far, we have been fairly capable at fitting in the four corners that we have. And yet, when we go through the rolling agendas, you'll start to see how
We might push.
we might push a little bit. And so I think, especially for getting your feedback, and to probably inform the next board, if they want to approach this as an issue. Also knowing the sort of ongoing conversation about just how much on the county side of the house there is to do as well. So trying to be a good partner in that space.
Thank you. Can I recommend a couple of things at this juncture?
Please.
Everybody take that page that's titled CWS board meeting and work session assumptions for allocation of time and write the date 07/31/2026. Right, because this is our allocation model right now and moving forward. I find this tool really helpful so that we all have a baseline, but also position of chair marks the chair as the presiding officer. And sometimes it's a little bit of herding cats. But this is our current construct, and I believe in everything that you've said. The one thing I was wondering about for making it a little clearer for me on the work session second Tuesday, and this is both a comment, but it's a question, because I'm a little unsure about myself. My point here is on that second Tuesday, it helps me to have a reminder that there's limited time, right? You try, I may be off a Tuesday. There's the board meeting that starts at 9 and then the work session that follows.
Correct.
And we have to be done with both by a certain time. And I need that reminder of when that time.
County's been starting things on those days at 11.
Yep.
10:50 when we're supposed to be done.
Yeah.
Correct.
So just write that in.
Yeah.
That's all.
We can add that. I also need to thank Kevin for his work in partnership in pulling this together.
It's just those reminders. And I've tried to think about this from the standpoint of there's going to be a new chair. There's going to be at least 2 new district, possibly depending upon how things go, a 3rd new district commissioner. So having stuff written out is just, I think, going to be so helpful.
Agreed.
But it's the other thing I'm concerned about is at this juncture, if we didn't have onboarding for the boards for both agencies, yay, great methodology. Woo-hoo, keep going with all the great work you're all doing, right? It's awesome work. But I feel kind of crushed by the fact of, boy, if I was to populate a calendar for them, how are they going to do onboarding for the 2 agencies at the same time that they're going to do all of the work that as a current board member, I feel like they're going to have to do.
And a note that the board meetings typically, when at least my experience in being either new on a board or dealing with new members on a board, is the meetings to start with will likely take longer. We've all probably seen that before too.
Yep.
But
And Catherine,
And I haven't even thought about that. So thank you for raising that.
and I think that I really appreciate that, Catherine, you have repeatedly brought up the onboarding issue, the steep learning curve, all these. But and maybe this is Pollyanna-ish, but we all have gone through that ourselves as well. And I think we will get there, but it'll probably take, and I think your caution is good advice to us for looking at our expectation as we move forward in terms of the timelines that you set out and all that. And I think we have to have some, like the springs on the building, we have to have some give in relationship to what those expectations are for the board.
And
So-
there will be some release valves because there are multiple long weekends in the first half of the year. At least on the county side, we don't need spring break week. So there's a little bit of recovery time for folks and for the new board. You may not be a new member, but you're going to be part of a new work group and going through all the forming. But getting through to adopted budgets that first 6 months.
It's gonna be rough. And I guess my message is about to staff as much as it is about to fellow board members. It's about staff and what staff's expectations are as well. I think it belongs.
I think many of the points you all mentioned, like we want to have a good plan. But the plan has to be flexible depending on the board members too, right? And the capacity to absorb information and ask questions. If they need more, we can step in and provide more. Like it has to be a little dynamic, but I think we want to come into this with at least having a good plan, which I think we do.
Yes.
And I appreciate, Elizabeth, how you've been attending certain Washington County roundtables where we're talking about onboarding. So may know through that I have a interpersonal survey that I'm instructing for the new board members to consider using to convey from themselves to one another, but also to staff about their learning models, how they absorb information, things like that, to help communicate for them to know one another and to help staff, So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Are you guys putting together onboarding packet like the county is?
Yes, yes.
Will this board having some visibility to that packet and input to
Yes.
provide input? Okay.
Yeah, and actually, maybe, because we will get to that,
You should have an interview on your calendar already.
I do.
anything else on the timing on where we've been? Okay, marvelous. Let's move to the rolling agendas, and then we can shift to where we are in the onboarding planning. So as I referenced, the elves have provided the updated rolling agendas. We hold on these until kind of last minute because these are the most dynamic of our documents. And there will still be edits as we go through. So on August 11th, you see that update on Healthy Streams 2.0, as well as a touch point on the utility billing feasibility study. So we will have a short board meeting and a longer work session that day in order to fit those topics in.
And Jerry, you're out of the office sometime in August too, so we just need to make sure they know that.
Yeah,
You're
August
rolling agenda.
11th, I'm out.
I'm out as well.
Yeah, I have you out, Director Fry, the 9th through the 15th in August.
Yeah, you have mine. but-
Yeah, and you're just the 11th, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Only the 11th?
Yeah, because
What-
the
The whole week you were
I
gone.
leave the 7th and I come back the 15th.
Well, we'll capture that on an updated version. Also just want to call it, you're going to start to see more and more references to IGAs. So predominantly starting in September.
Those are on consent though, right?
No, this City of Tualatin one is for a sewer design.
Oh, okay.
You'll see the operating agreements next month and their action plans.
Okay.
Anything Any questions on the plan for August? Yep. So, looking at September, that second Tuesday, it will sort of be the inverse of what we see in August. We'll have a longer board meeting and a shorter work session. So we really kind of play with the time that we have there to make sure that we're staying within the overall bounds. But potentially 3 public hearings. And then for those operating IGAs, we're looking at doing the overall presentation as a joint presentation.
Yeah.
And
Staff report.
precisely. So you'll see that approach on both September 8th and September 22nd.
And then September 22, under other meetings for WEF in New Orleans, that's both Commissioners, Director Snyder and Director Fye.
That's correct.
My out of office. 8.
You got it.
You changed it.
No, that's what it's always been, I think. The county calendar's got that.
Well, that's why I have to get out my magic calendar.
This is one of those challenges in having the separate rolling agendas. Is it the manual process?
Oh,
Where we capture everything.
Sorry. We're
Both
talking
sides.
September. Oh. No, Jerry, at one point you were going to be out the 12th through the 26th. That's why we set up the roundtable for September 10th. Told us which that we could have. Remember this multicolored thing we went over?
Yeah, I don't recall that because I booked my flights 3 months ago. So maybe it was just miscommunication on my part, but no.
So you got 8
Yep.
through the 20. I have you out through the 26th. So it's fine. Saturday
Yeah.
versus Friday.
Any questions, comments on September?
Just look like they're gonna be busy meetings.
Well, Commissioner Fye is also out. Oh, there we go. It's over in that other part. Right. Yep.
Yeah, so I think one of the themes is you'll see that we are pretty busy through the end of the year. October is the month where we are filling in because December is full and November is full. So I think you'll probably see the most changes and updates, and we'll fill in more and more in October. Just to forecast that as we provide updated rolling agendas next month.
Yeah, so since unlike with Washington County, where we try to have roundtables monthly, but then we cancel certain months, the months where we don't have a roundtable, then that generally that first Thursday of the month, the board clerk send us a set of rolling agendas. So with each of your forward-looking months, just send us an email with the forward-looking ones, and that's perfect.
Yeah.
Because
And-
these just help us get our head around what's happening.
We can also provide them as part of the leadership communication during the work session on the second Tuesday. So yeah, a couple different options.
Thank you for reminding me of
Yeah.
that.
We have a couple different tools, which is,
Yeah.
it's great.
So I'm still back on September.
Yes.
And absorbing that. Okay. Commissioner Fye's here on, oh no, you're not here the 1st. Oh no, you will be here for the board meeting on the 1st. Okay. That means we have one board meeting in September, being September 1st, where we have all 5 of us. And then we don't have a full board together until August 6th. I mean, October 6th.
Doesn't look to me like we have a quorum on the 22nd either. But
That's what I mean. We don't
okay.
have all 5 of us. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, with Nafisa and Jason going to West Tech.
But the meeting's on the 22nd, not on,
Yeah.
Yeah.
meetings
You have a
before the
quorum
West
on the
Tech.
22nd. Jason's not out until the 26th.
But at the bottom it says. Oh,
He's out for
oh,
JPAC
It's not-
followed by WEF Tech.
Yeah,
Uh,
we'll have
She's
three
missing.
members.
Yeah.
you'll have three in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
So-
but we don't have all five of us. We have all five of us Tuesday, September 1, and then Tuesday, October 6th. Okay.
Take your vitamin C, chicken soup. Everyone stay healthy.
Yeah, that's right.
So October, we have the tentative adoption of our design and construction standards.
I threw you a curveball, because I didn't pick up the phone to articulate it. I'm in October,
Yes.
under the column under October 6th, where you have the summary of the board roundtable. I don't know that board training on gifts is tentative.
Okay.
What I've added in that, and I'll be talking about this at the September 10th meeting, but this current board at the October 1st roundtable, we'll be talking about the process for the salary commission, as well as data prep 1 of 2. So it's in the latest roundtable plan that I think,
Oh, yes. Okay.
or at least I had intended to email to
I do have that.
Raheem and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
But
And
I,
that salary commission conversation will be both county and CW. Okay,
yeah.
good.
So, and so I assume, while I hate to steal you for a day, well, any of our days, I think given the amount of preparation we're doing for, onboarding, September, October, and our November 5th, might want to be in the room
October
for those
1st.
topics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll coordinate.
Yeah, and then I put on the roundtable plan for December 3rd, put in final cleanup session, close out 2 or 4 new Washington County Board and CWS Board. So December 3rd is kind of the last opportunity for us to go, oh darn, or oh gosh, we didn't take care of that. How do we squeeze that in before the whatever day is, what is it, the last Thursday of December? For that last working Thursday of
Got
those
it.
first 3 weeks of December, the 18th or so.
Yep.
So,
So we have one more kind of backstop should we need it. Yeah.
yeah, because if we need to have a special meeting or a special roundtable or a special CWS work session, I can call those.
Yeah.
But we'll have a better feel probably by November. And board, there's been some advancement since our conversation on Tuesday about not having the November 17th Tuesday because of CWS. That if we need to, staff is working hard to see how we get the November business done in November, given that we'd only have 2 Tuesdays. I'm really serious about having a special meeting on Monday, 16th. If, oh,
That's fine.
So one of the things when looking at everything that we need to get done between now and the end of the year, we may find that our October 31st CWS all-day work session is slightly less thematic and has more of a potpourri of topics to make sure that we get through those pieces. Yes, especially because of the crunch in November. So you'll see discussion of the legislative agenda on that October 23rd date. And I'll just forecast, my thinking is bring really solid drafts to you all. Then any revisions we'll discuss in December. Be working with known director-elect and then any winning candidates late in November to bring them up to speed. And then adoption of the legislative agenda in January. So that's kind of the timeline that, and talking with Aaron Doyle on the county side, it's similar but not the same. So it's not repeating, but it rhymes, right? It's one of those. You'll also see the recycle water master plan in October. This thermal compliance plan may slide, right? We said 26, 27. A lot of that just depends on the work and where we are in that process. And I think we're forecasting.
It can slide.
It can slide, yes. And then, of course, wrapping up our operating IGAs with cities. That's happening at the end of October.
Why do I?
It's October 23rd, that final item, a tentative.
There it is.
Yeah.
Got it.
And those tentatives were more around planning around when the work is going to be completed and fitting it in the right place on the calendar with you.
Yeah, this is one reason why I've kind of wondered about having an additional, or I haven't looked at December to see if we need to have an additional CWS work session, half day or full day in December. That's all. I'm just conveying that I'm
Yeah.
open to that because I want you to be able to get as much work done
We appreciate that.
through us as possible.
Yeah.
We're all pretty committed to that.
In November, we did shift, so you'll see us focusing our work on November 5th. And that's part of why at the end of October, that all-day work session may be more of a potpourri because we're sort of moving things.
But you know, with all the different contracts, and I remember we generally have a slew of
Yep.
updating contracts before the end of the year, calendar year as well as fiscal year.
Mhm.
You know, if we need to use that November 16th release valve, so be it.
Yep. Yep. And it's, many of those end up going on consent. They don't take a huge amount of time. And our teams have done a great job identifying what they expect, taking a look at last year, what were things that we were needing to push through. So we feel reasonably confident, and just doing this work for a long time, we know that stuff is gonna come up. And then looking at December.
I
Yeah.
feel guilty in a way because us out of the 7.5 years so far, I don't recall a month where we only had one business meeting. And that's what we're trying here. And it's been quite an experience to only have two in prior years. So that's why I'm just like, that may not be a formula for success for ourselves. That's why I keep harping on this relief valve. That's why
I appreciate having that. It helps me feel a little bit calmer, and also we are being planful with the time that we have. Right? So it's a yes and strategy, and appreciate having that space and opportunity should we need it.
And it may just help us that first week or two of December to really absorb what we have for a new board, what cities have for new city councils, and say, okay, what about ideas? Just for what if brainstorming.
I'm sorry, I'm obviously very late to this party and I apologize.
It's okay.
But I don't,
Connecting the dots can be hard. You guys have to help me all the
well,
time.
I'm trying to understand why we only have two in November.
Because November 17th, AOC.
Oh, that's right.
conference
I'm sorry.
starts
Yep,
at
never
1
mind.
PM.
Yep. Never mind.
Yeah.
And in looking at the calendar with Kevin and doing planning for next year, it's all based on how the dates fall. It will not be an issue next year because there are 5 weeks in November next year, but there aren't this year. So it's
I
roll
forgot.
it.
Sorry.
Yeah,
It's how we help one another.
yeah. And then December. So we have RNG update, as I referenced, finalizing the legislative agenda, incorporating any changes and making sure we got those right. Performance evaluation. And then the other thing that I'll call out is December 15th, an update on the utility billing study, which we've alluded to several times already today.
And the performance evaluation is your 6 month, is that correct?
Yep. So next year, you would need not only that performance evaluation, but figure out how to have another business or updating contract so that it's effective. And I mean, you can always do it retroactive, but it's just cleaner. So it's implemented through all the HR systems. We've had a complicated implementation on the county side. Yeah, CWS is probably better, but
It's the county leads and breaks ice and we learn. On some things we lead and break ice and the county learns. And so we
Yep.
trade off.
exactly.
We appreciate it.
Yep.
I'm gonna tell Tanya we're better.
There you go.
Yeah,
Um,
good luck with
Yeah, yeah.
anything on December or on the rolling agendas in general that we walked through?
Not that I can go. I think whoever's the new chair as of January is gonna want to find out from your new board what out of office plans are for your new board members that half of the year. You know, spring break, for example.
Who knew they haven't accrued any vacation?
It's no fun to herd cats, but these things, or you've said before, help you, so.
So,
Terrific, a
yeah.
lot of work. Thank you for being ordered to. I don't want to, it's not chaos, it's just a lot of really good work that takes an important agency to function and for the board to support you in that.
this is major teamwork
Yeah.
that goes into getting this all together.
But the degree of organization and, driving from the standpoint of the new separation of the board meetings, the separation of the work sessions, the roundtables, has been a lot of work, but it also leads to really clear step-by-step approach, and it makes looking at the proposed list of projects, all those things come together so much more effectively, at least for me, that there's a clear roadmap, there's a clear.
I think the visibility to items is much better.
Yeah. And all of these pieces that we've discussed today all tie together.
Yeah.
And that's great deal of value there. So thank you for that.
We're getting there. It's fun. Once it starts to flow.
Does everybody say that?
I know Elizabeth says it all the time.
And other people might be going.
I realize you're having the interviews with each of us onboarding.
Yeah.
But I've been wondering about the board having a conversation amongst itself. And I don't know if it's appropriate for the October 23rd date.
Yes.
Or another date, but I think a lot of our role for CWS, just like with the county, is policy and investment decision making. But there's also a different degree of oversight. Because the portfolios are very different. And we've learned a lot about the role over the years. And I'm not sure what we want as a group to share with the new board for 2027. So I thought I'd just ponder that idea here. And I should probably flip back to
No,
October.
Chair, I was going to say thank you for saying that. We did end up putting onboarding on the October 23rd rolling agenda.
Right.
We didn't update that, again, the very manual process on this board work session planning day. But I think that's exactly right. I think that's the right time window. I have begun my interviews with you all. I'm about midway through. So thank you to those that I've already talked with. And I have time scheduled with the rest of you. And also, I doubt Erin Doyle was listening right now, but thank you to her because she shared her questions and notes. So we're trying not to be redundant, but also sort of respect and reflect the differences between our agencies. So again, you'll see a process that kind of rhymes with what the county is doing.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah.
When are you expecting? Because, it dawns on me that November 3rd, we'll know what the board, not November 3rd, but shortly after that, we'll know what the board makeup will look like. When are you expecting or anticipating that this onboarding starts? Is it after the election results are finalized? Is it the first of the year? What are you thinking? I'm just curious.
Would say it's almost started already. The reason,
We have a
yeah,
Director-elect.
Yeah.
I do think when we have certainty on who's in what seat, I think that's when we will start the onboarding with that particular person. But formally, I would say like probably towards the end of the year. Some of it will bleed into the new year as well. But
The reason I bring up the question is as you have experience with the director-elect, that some people are still working in a different job,
Yeah.
that their flexibility may not be what accommodates the schedule. So that's why I was bringing that up.
And you can't have executive sessions with them beforehand because your insurance doesn't cover them until January.
I think most of our content's been sharing information that is publicly available, information that should be publicly available. But I think we'll get more clarity in November.
I look back on in 2019 when Jerry and I and Catherine started, we knew in May, so we had a lot of it wasn't structured.
Yeah, it wasn't, but it was nice to at least be able to jump in.
Yeah.
But it was not structured, right?
But it's still, I think it's really dependent upon the individual, not on what the expectations of the organization is. And that's what I'm.
I think there are a couple pieces, because on the one hand, we want folks to for everyone to receive the same information, right? So we will put together a manual, the way that the county is putting together a manual. And I'm working with our communications folks to have it formatted, be easy to use, right? Those policies will be a component of it, right? We'll have a digital version that will hyperlink to the master plan so that folks can get as weedy as they want to. And also a sort of shorter hard copy version. So there will be kind of a standard set of materials that are provided. And also several of you have alluded to, depending on who's in the seat, we're going to need to start at a different place. And so we want to then also tailor the materials to making sure that we meet people where they are. And whenever
Different learning styles.
exactly. And so to help scaffold on, right, we're going to do the first round of information, let people digest, and then continue to build those pieces. So one of the things on the backside of the CWS work session planning document, I would say this is in pencil, right? It's not, well,
We didn't go over that.
Yeah, so this is, I mean, do you want me to talk about this final work
Well,
session
no,
day?
I wanted to point out, I don't think this is one that the elves changed. If the elves changing, I didn't quite catch up with it. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, no, this is the same. Yeah, yeah, so some of the material is therefore a little outdated from
Yeah,
the,
so we don't have onboarding here,
yeah,
but I think on October 23rd, we need to have a board conversation about acquiring the CWS board time data for the 2027 salary commission.
salary
We're gonna have
commission
to
data.
qualify that.
Yep. And
And you're gonna know, we won't have the certified election results till Monday, the 30th of November, but given the mail-in ballot, election day is November 3rd, right? Yeah, it's Veterans Day, the 11th.
Mhm.
So, well, the informal results on Friday, the 20th,
Mhm.
we should have a comfort level on what butts are gonna occupy which seat.
the other piece that I will say is missing from the 23rd is, and what we will likely do is create a new row, for that 5-year plan. So we will have a standing item where we're reviewing and updating on the 5-year plan. So that's another missing piece.
Right. And on that point, like, it wouldn't be to go over the entire plan, it would be to like ask any questions you might have or clarifying questions or things you don't see on there that were important to you all. I wasn't planning to go through it in a lot of detail.
So that means read it ahead and bring your questions into the.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Anything else on our? Okay, fantastic. So looking ahead to 27, again, this is in pencil. These are some rough ideas for building blocks. You'll see I added a 5th date. We've typically done,
What am I missing?
this is the backside
Oh,
of the
yes,
CWS board
yes, yes.
discussion.
That's right. All right, thank you.
I want to acknowledge, so typically we would avoid dates in April and May because of the budget. We just get jammed up. So if that may look
Sure you
like,
can.
yeah,
VIP 101 might be a good one.
and so based on the interviews with you all, filling in some more of these pieces, but one of the things that I've heard over and over again is, okay, experiential learning, right, getting around the district, seeing different locations is really important. So this was just kind of a little bit of spaghetti at the wall, thinking about timing, weather, layering on different pieces, but they can certainly move around and we're going to figure out dates. We have talked with,
Well, I don't know
staff.
what you've used for your onboarding interviews with the current board members, but I think one of the questions that you should ask is, given this laundry list of operations that where we've had tours in the past, or when do you think the new board should see different ones, XYZ? I mean, who knows? You could get 5 totally different answers, or you might find that there's some consolidation. I don't know,
Yeah.
you guys do such, all of you do such a good job on the budget and the budget presentation that you make it as easy as I can imagine, and also very interesting to read the whole budget. So that's where I'm just trying to hold out what are those things that they might see before the end of April, so they really be motivated to read the budget.
Feedback.
You're also going to want to have them go through CWS essentials too, even with the city council. Yeah. building their
So
relationship.
a basic overview, it's just gonna be a foundation.
It's gonna be really hard for them though, because
Yeah.
we're urging the new board members to go to AOC County College. And then we're also gonna have the long session, and so the AOC legislative steering. We've really, the last 2 years have tried to up our game so that we have board of commissioner visibility in everything one of those steering committees. So it's gonna be a hopping.
So we are in the drafting input process, coordinating with the county. And we'll come back to the board with materials to review. But if there are any pieces or steps that you think are missing at this point, please let me know, or if you wake up in the middle of the night and you think, oh my God, I forgot, shoot me an email. Open to look.
Down, why does the board have these special dedicated work sessions? I think that's really important. You know, it's to have the concentrated time. I think the additional back and forth conversation time and the shared experience of the tours. Not just the board getting to share that with one another, but also the time leadership staff on these projects.
And today was a great example of that.
I don't know if anybody else has any on this. They all have opinions.
Not worthy of sharing.
That's probably a good time to move on there.
I'll hand it back.
Yeah. So we're at the wrap-up point. Elizabeth, anything else we need to maybe mention before we close out?
I think you have the fun stuff to mention, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first, just thanks for the participation today. I think the tour was great. The discussion after that was great. Just appreciate the time you spend with us. But also just appreciate the time the leadership team and the fill-ins and some of the other staff were also, I just personally over the last 2 months, so I hit my 2 month mark this week. And yeah, made it to 2 months. Yeah. Thank you.
Months, really?
Yeah.
It feels longer.
But, you know. It feels better.
Good, no, but good long.
Yeah. I'll take that as a compliment.
Raheem thinks it feels really long.
Yeah, it does. And I'm not kidding. It does feel longer because I feel a sense of comfort.
And it shows.
Yeah, and I'm just very fortunate to have an amazing team I can lean on when I have questions and when I try to go right.
Isn't it awesome?
It is. It's great. And there are times where I might go right and they're like, hey, you might want to go left here. And yeah, so I appreciate all of them and their teams. It's been fabulous to work with. So maybe in just wrapping up, it's just gratitude to the board, gratitude to my team. Like I don't think we as an organization would be as successful as we are. We are a successful organization and we will continue to be because of the amazing team we have. So just very, very grateful for that. And I'll wrap up now because I don't want to mention the next thing. That's not like, it's after the meeting. So
Not a public deliberation.
it's not a public deliberation.
I'm sure others probably want to comment, but this meeting today is such a breath of fresh air for me in relationship to, I feel like we're on the path. Now we're moving forward. You're in the seat where.
We know where we're headed.
Yeah, and the staff coming together, the feeling like we're all in this has been, it's been a long time coming. And if we look back over our shoulders, there's been a lot that the group in this room has been through.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the fact that we've got smiles on our faces. We've got, a plan in place, and Raheem, you've done a great job of stabilizing. And I think that's, for me, that's a really important factor. So thank you, and thank you to the staff for Raheem may be stabilizing things, but he did that because
And I would be remiss if I didn't mention this, and I apologize for not doing this earlier. Rick's not here, but because of the work Rick has done over the last year in the interim role too, like, I mean, this is just building, right? So I really appreciate him. I didn't force him to come here because he's got probably other things he wants to do, but it's been really helpful.
I think it's good that, and I think Rick did a fabulous job for us, but I think it's also good that it was just you today because it feels like we're now moving into the future and what we're gonna look like.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah. We can adjourn the meeting?
Okay, with that, it's been a great day. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move for adjournment.
Second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hands. Thank you. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. We're hereby adjourned. Thank you.